Who's the cutest baby? I don't like babies. Dribbles at one end, bites at the other.
It's super RTD.
Quintessential, like Doctor Who, like off the bonkers scale, crazy. It was great.
Tiny babies controlling a spaceship, and there's a giant snot monster.
It was almost as silly as the next one, which takes some doing.
Unique. That's what I want in Doctor Who.
You're gonna cut that out anyway, so this, yeah. So you won't get that opinion. Crap. There we go.
It was a fun, silly little story.
It's a lightweight nonsense, but it was fun lightweight nonsense. That's the best way I would have said it. Fun, lightweight nonsense.
There was a lot of problems with that episode.
Such as?
Because for me, I did not enjoy that one bit.
Not bad, but not good either. Just meh.
Before we get into that, I'm just glad to know and glad to see that they fixed that fucking awful logo in the intro.
Thank goodness.
Not a flat image anymore, it actually comes in, fades in, it looks natural and nice now, we don't get a bloody zoom in shot. Anyway, I'm happy about that.
It looked glorious, and because of that one change, it's one of my favourite opening titles.
The episode opens with Ruby walking towards the TARDIS. No dialogue, just visual language. She walks in, the Doctor's like, I'm the Doctor, this is the TARDIS, here we are. Bang, off they go.
I'm Doctor, I'm Time Lord, I do this, and I'm all alone. And that's what I do things like, I'm like, whoa, this is like a lot of info.
I'm sick of seeing people complain about this to begin with, about how the fact that in the first episode they said what a TARDIS is and the Sonic and Two Hearts and all this stuff. They've done it in Women Who Fell to Earth, they've done it in Deep Breath, 11th Hour, they've done it in Rose. It's all been done before, it's nothing new. Yeah. That just gets reintroduced every 5 years, that's just part of the show and that's natural.
I completely agree with you in that, but it was the way they done it this time that got me.
It felt like RTD was kind of doing all the backstory he did with Eccleston gradually over one season. He's kind of dumped it all in one opening segment.
Just give them a summary of what they need to know and spread the rest out, because more fans want to be able to gradually build up and get to know the character, not everything thrown at them at once.
I'd be really curious to learn about what brand new fans or brand new watchers felt about it, because I feel like there's been quite a lot of quite heavy-handed info dumping from previous seasons that I think might be quite overwhelming, honestly, for a new audience.
Ninth Doctor, boom boom TARDIS. It's the year 5000. The new Roman Empire. Don't open the door. We don't have the budget. Whereas this time they could step out and see the dinosaurs and all that stuff.
The whole opening segment when they go to the dinosaurs just to have the weird gag of Ruby turning into a different species for it to be resolved immediately and then they just go on and have another adventure. It reminded me of how weird the Isaac Newton thing was in Wild Blue Yonder. Just kind of a weird thing to do for a gag that didn't really matter to anything else.
It was basically a joke for joke's sake, really. It wasn't. We'd had it with. We had it with Martha, and then we had it with Bill as well, talking about, stepping a butterfly, change history. This is the first time we actually get to see it happen.
Literally happen, yeah.
Yes, I enjoyed that. That.
And I quite like the sort of homages to End of the World.
There was no need to have almost very similar shots of with the mobile looking out in space from the spaceship. They could have done that similar.
The first couple of scenes were identical. I mean, if it wasn't Russell writing both of those, I would have said someone has stolen your material, pal. You could sue.
In my opinion, that call scene, obviously it was clearly a nod to End of the World. That's completely fine. I don't mind that, because if anything, I just take it as a reference.
But it was so... And then you end up in a space station in the middle of a catastrophe. It was incredibly similar. But then so is this Doctor. The one they're saying, he's got, he's trauma-free, he's dealt with all his past. He bloody hasn't. This is the Ninth Doctor come again. He is not okay with the Time War.
The Space Babies, when they first came on, it was a lot better than I thought it was going to be, because for some reason I thought it was going to be different. It's obviously still a bit naff, but I love it, so I don't mind.
Not the babies' humour, with them, them having little, not showing what any of the things do, but they're like doing it anyway. It was very cute and wholesome, so you can't really complain about that.
It was adorable when they were asked, have you ever had a hug? And they said, never. I thought that was the best bit of the episode.
Then, when the Doctor
said the bogeyman in front of the babies a second time just to like scare them. I thought that was quite
I'm not gonna lie,
funny.
I shouldn't have laughed at it, but see when the babies all screamed, I was like,
I hated Shooty intentionally scaring the children. It's like someone just like clapping at someone who's autistic and just enjoying them getting like overloaded by the sounds. I hate it. The Doctor.
I have to kind of agree with you on that one. That was kind of a weird moment to me.
Yeah, well, I think Eric was the cutest. That's all I'm going to say. I think
I
Eric
can't
was
remember the
cutest.
names.
Yeah.
I just don't like being around children.
Ruby
I
says,
thought
I'm going to be brave. I like that. It was really sweet.
He's going to die. And it's like, I knew he wasn't. They were like, they're not going to kill a baby.
And I'll be honest, the idea of like somebody swears and then somehow it gets cut out to something, it's like, oh God, do we have to keep? I mean, it's like it's been done a billion times before. Maybe just stop.
The cuteness of it
I
was,
thought
was
there
quite
was
fun.
totally wee bit of the uncanny valley with the mouths kind of.
That was slightly off.
Yeah.
The fake baby CGI was terrible.
I know they really try. I know there's no really elegant way to do this, but oh man, part of me thinks the way they kind of animated the babies talking. I know there's no easy way to do around it. I know they put a lot of work into it, but it just looked a little bit uncanny and a bit weird and a little kind of all right.
The mouth thing, I'll be honest, I kind of stopped looking at the screen because it's just a bit freaky when they move their mouths like that.
The design of the bogeyman, I thought that was a really cool, creepy design. I think they did a good job on that one.
But how does it have teeth made of bogies? That doesn't make any sense. Roll with it.
Yeah, roll
Who
with
cares? It's the last of its kind. It's the first of its kind. We gotta save it. I love that.
In terms of a costume design and the way they shot it and the corridors and the way they built it up, I thought was very good. Because
I agree with that.
they did, I'm trying to remember, I think it was Russell who said this, or someone in an interview. They were going for alien and defined vibes, and you can clearly tell that with it. It was very alien.
Shame it's made out of snots, but hey.
RTD has precedent with that, like, you know, the adipose were made of fat, the Slitheen were farting a lot.
We've got Sleep No More, and I've grown to love that.
Yeah, I mean, in the first episode of the whole of New Who, which was written by RTD, of course, Rose, Series 1, Episode 1, Mickey gets eaten by a bin, and then the bin does a burp. Like...
Doctor Who kind of peaked at that point.
And I thought it's not a great start for the Doctor. But his first 2 episodes, he meets the baddie and he runs away, which is not normally what he does. So at least in the first one, he acknowledges, why am I running away?
I think the Snot Monster, I think it was good because it was funny, and it also kind of, for me, it says Doctor Who's going to be this silly, but there's also going to be this serious element of the Doctor, you know, like trying to save the monster. It's very doctory.
Because I kind of got halfway through, I went, I kind of feel sorry for the poor thing. It's trapped down there all on its own. And it just kind of makes sense. There's got to be something happening here why is it there in the bloody first place?
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing.
The more it went on, I was thinking, is this going to be a switcheroo where the little babies are actually the bad guys and the monster's the good thing? Obviously it wasn't, because everyone was just good.
Yeah, you did do that quite early.
Yeah, I just thought it was going to be one of those stories, but
What's
obviously...
that kind of coming from?
But obviously there was no real villain in that at all.
There is precedent for this level of fucking nonsense, so I don't mind it personally, and I think it struck the balance where like there was also enough intrigue and mystery and genuine emotion that it kind of somehow bizarrely worked in a way that only RTD could do that.
The farting spaceship was a bit much. And methane, by the way, is not brown. Methane is transparent. So you would never have seen that space fart.
Well, you may not have seen that space fart, but there we go.
I mean, the ship was in the shape of a giant arse. Was it? It was a massive space arse.
I didn't notice
space
that.
We had baby going, oh, I'm scared of the boogie monster. And then Ruby coming in and going, but the clock's not done. Wait, it's a perfectly reasonable conclusion. There's no shot done. Trying to reassure them.
Yeah.
So then, halfway through, they decide, okay, I'm going to be brave. I'm going to try to challenge it.
Yeah.
Perfectly normal, because it's now been told there's nothing there. It's not real. But then, the last, 15 minutes there, to go, oh, please, 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 can we keep it? Where's the connection?
No, there's no
Did anyone-
connection. Exactly.
There was no dialogue to symbolize why they actually decided to want to keep a boogie monster that they were actually their pants with.
Yeah, exactly. No, I completely agree
It
with that.
makes no sense.
At the end of the story, when Doc's like, "It's all right, I was an orphan." It's like, all right, it's like the 5th time he mentioned it now. Like, I get it, and like, I'm reminded of like the Garth Marenghi clip where he's like, "I know writers who use subtext, and they're all cowards." But that's how I felt though. Like at the end, when the bogeyman's about to be sucked out, and Doc was like, "Oh no!" And Judy's acting's really good there. Judy's face is really selling it. I didn't need all the flashbacks that moments we saw literally like 10 minutes ago of him saying, "I'm not my kind, that's my species." Like, I know, I was there, I saw it.
And the stuff about forced birth and and how weird it is, and then Ruby going, "It's not that weird." It was a point. Yes, we got it. It didn't have to be hammered. It was a bit. And we're talking about Roe and Wade, Roe v. Wade. Just so you know, that's what we're doing. It's like, yes, we got it 5 minutes ago. Please stop.
I think some folk have thought it was too on the nose. For me, it was fine because it wasn't hammered through the whole episode the way that like Orphan 55 was. It was just a scene. So for me, it worked.
They went for abortion stuff and they went for asylum seeker stuff.
Yeah.
And I like the spreads.
Yeah, I mean, I quite like the specific point that they were making. It wasn't necessarily like you have to support, which obviously you should, but it wasn't like finger wagging. It was actually just making a point. Like, we never reach out and help people who need help. They have to come whatever means they can and beg us for help. We don't leave them any option.
The detractors can go Roger themselves about it. There's been refugee analogies in Doctor Who going back 60 years. This is nothing new at all. I have no problem with it whatsoever.
Yeah, you've got all that in here. The Ark's one of the earliest examples of that.
Precisely.
So it's plenty of refugee analogies coming throughout the show. Ark in Space is another one.
Particularly our
Delta
lead
the
actor, our lead actor essentially being a refugee himself from Rwanda.
The Doctor has been played by a Rwandan actor, an actor who was born in Rwanda, and so therefore him using the word genocide has power that someone else saying it doesn't.
Let's leave the Waynes trapped in a spaceship. Why? Well, it's too much money to actually deal with it. So, yeah, so some things don't change, I suppose.
Some things they don't change.
Holy Shooty Gatwa, he has just knocked out of the park. He's so good. I'm just so chuffed. He's going to be an amazing Doctor. I can feel him growing already. I'm so glad to hear that he's already done 2 series and he's going to be staying for a 3rd because I think he's going to be great. I think he's going to be a great modern Doctor.
Like Church and Ruby Road, he was the best thing in it. He's amazing. I absolutely love him as a Doctor.
You hear his accent coming and going, and he's Scottish and he's not Scottish. It's brilliant. I love that about him.
He's just so charismatic. He's so lovable. He just has this loads of energy to him. He just has this aura that he seems like a really cool guy to be around.
I think he's going to be a lovely Doctor, and I'm just so chuffed, and I'm pleased to think of new kids watching this show, and he's their first Doctor, and it's nice how the cycle continues. Long may it.
I really enjoyed Shooty and Millie's energy. Their chemistry is really, really good off the bat. They carried that whole episode, I think, just purely through their chemistry together.
People said, "Oh, it's like the Doctor and Rose." It's not. It's better because Ruby's a better actor than Billie Piper. I'm sorry.
I thought Millie Gibson as Ruby was much better than she was in the first episode. I think she kind of got a chance to shine a bit more.
The second Impossible Girl. Sure, why not?
I actually think Ruby succeeds where Clara fails because, well, yes, they are very similar in the fact they're a mystery box. Russell T Davies does something with Ruby that I think Russell D. Stephen Moffat failed with Clara and made her an actual character.
And she's got a nice vibe. She's not like Clara and Rose and other companions who are a bit like, oh, I'm great, oh, I'm sassy, I know what's going on, I'm in charge. Millie's Ruby is curious, she's caring, she's warm.
She's fun-loving, she likes spending time with her friends, and she's very caring and kind, especially towards children, which I thought was excellent, and also caring to others.
I love that she didn't leave the Doctor alone. The Doctor's like, I'm going to go sort this thing, and she's like, all right, let's go. And the Doctor's like, what? I love both the time, like, Ruby and Shooty both, like, shouted at each other different points in the episode, and I really loved both of those. Like, their shouts were like my favourite bit of their acting.
True dynamic duo.
It was like big brother, little sister vibe.
Yeah, definitely.
The way like the Doctor would like mock Ruby.
It's really lovely. It's wholesome. It's great. But I'm also a bit like it put me off a bit how quickly they've got so close together. Whereas usually there's like a little bit of like tension or hesitation where the companion's not quite sure who the Doctor is.
They tried to make him too relatable to Ruby too early on. They could be building that relationship.
No, I agree with that. I was a bit forced because it already gets into the whole like, oh, I'm adopted, and I mean, we obviously explored a bit of that in Church and Ruby Road, but
and it's also what you said about the key.
Yeah, the key. She does not deserve that.
You don't get a companion that you barely know anything about.
Yeah.
Whether you know more than we're meant to know or not, you don't give them the key. From the get-go. Build that relationship up first. So if you're building that relationship up first, give it a reason to believe that he can be trusted with that key.
Mystery around Ruby's backstory, that's world building for the series arc. So, and you can see that a mile away.
You know, when they walk into the TARDIS and the Doctor says, before you ask Ruby, the one place we could never go is, the Choctaw and Ruby Road the night you were born. And it was like, Mr. Chekhov, you're gone. There is no way that is not going to be where the finale happens.
The fact the Doctor's decided, I'll scan my companion again, see if there's something wrong with them. That harks back to Amy and the pregnancy thing.
Yes. She's not pregnant again, is she? Bloody
no. Well, last time Amy was pregnant, it caused a lot of trouble.
Yes. Bloody nightmare.
I'm pretty keen on making sure that the show continues to bring in new people. So, personally, my big hope for this episode was not really that it was a smashing episode for me as a Doctor Who fan. I really wanted it to be a smasher for people of the world.
But Russell, you're thinking, right, this is the episode. Disney Plus, all those literal millions, billions of peoples out there, and they might only watch this one episode, so you have to nail Doctor Who in this one episode. So what do we do? Babies in space. Fine.
I do think some people will be put off by how silly it was.
It was cute, it was silly, it was goofy, it was fun. I feel like, if you're going to complain that Doctor Who is too silly and goofy, then you've not been watching. It's clearly that you haven't watching the same show. It's always been, and this is pretty on par for Russell openers.
So much in common with the End of the World in this episode, but I mean, in the End of the World, you've got Cassandra is like a stretch of skin around a frame. That's really silly as well. It still worked, still got people into it.
It's very Doctor Who, isn't it? I mean, Doctor Who is stupid, and I think if people go in expecting serious sci-fi, they should not come to Doctor Who, because Doctor Who is a sci-fi fantasy show that is inherently silly. It can be serious, but it's silly, and it needs to have the capacity to be silly.
It was very enjoyable, fun little kind of mini episode. However, I do think it was a weird choice to open the season with. It's not what I would typically consider to be a season opener type story. It felt more like this kind of like silly filler story, but later in the season when he ran out of budget and he only afford one set. So I'm not sure exactly it was the best story to open with. I think the reason why we got 2 episodes at once is because if we only had Space Babies for a week, people may not have been hooked enough to carry on.
I think it's good. I don't think it's the best episode ever, but I'm pleased because it feels like a Doctor Who that makes an episode that makes a statement about what Doctor Who is. I feel like it'll welcome new people in. It's not too mixed up in lore and stuff. It's a bit like, we're off on an adventure.
Yeah, sort of gentle easing in.
Yeah.
So, because you don't want to go straight in. So
No.
it's gently, softly. So
Softly, squeaky monkey.
Yes.
Is it catchy monkey? I can't remember.
That's not what I was thinking.
The 14th Doctor said, there is order, there is chaos, and there is fun. That was fun.